Dinosaurs took over, pushing proto-mammals to the brink of extinction. Larger proto-mammals fell prey to the Earth's new kings. Smaller ones survived, essentially by being overlooked. With time, they evolved into full mammals, holding on to life in forms no larger than a rodent, hiding, waiting, and growing smarter as the age of dinosaurs unfolded. Unfold, the age of dinosaurs did. It was born in the period known as the Triassic, and for the next 150 million years, these terrible lizards would reign supreme on Earth. Not all dinosaurs were terrible, but those that were terrible really were. If they didn't invent predation, they certainly advanced it. And that got Hollywood's attention.
It's the size of a dinosaur and 10 times more terrifying.
The movies had their way with these creatures, offering fanciful renderings that usually had little to do with reality. That reality, however, was far more interesting than anything in films. It began with the most primitive dinosaur ever found, Eoraptor, the dawn thief. This was no gigantic monster. Its skull was smaller than a human hand, but it had claws and teeth to match a vicious attitude. Two-legged, carnivorous, versatile in moving across the ground, Dawn Thief was hardly the Earth's first predator. It was, however, an awfully good one. But good as it was, time would produce much improved dinosaur hunters. In Argentina's Valley of the Moon, paleontologists have uncovered a virtually complete skeleton of one of the first of such improvements, Herrerasaurus. 17 feet long, weighing in at 500 pounds, it was far bigger and even nastier than Eoraptor. The skull, with its long, recurved, biting and grasping teeth, is clear evidence that this was a very active predator. The configuration of the fishhook-like teeth allowed Herrerasaurus to sink them in so its prey could not escape. The limbs were completely rotated under the body. The creature was bipedal. Its short arms had huge claws that grabbed and tore at prey. Both Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus stood upright. This set them apart from reptiles and freed their hands, no longer needed for locomotion, to grab something while on the run. Despite these similarities, differences between the two beasts were striking. Compared to the smaller Eoraptor, Herrerasaurus was an advanced model predator that operated on a far bigger scale. Its signature was a powerful jaw which clamped down on a struggling animal. This feature would be passed down the evolutionary line to future dinosaur predators. Those predators were legion. Over the millions upon millions of years dinosaurs ruled the planet, the carnivorous species kept becoming better, more efficient hunters, but not necessarily larger ones. For most of the dinosaur era, the majority of these animals were no larger than tigers. Toward the end of that era, however, some became huge and overpowering. Big as buildings, they were called carnosaurs. The domination of the carnosaurs reached its peak 65 million years ago. But the process that guaranteed this domination began 135 million years before that, when the supercontinent of Pangaea broke up. Newly forming mountain ranges and inland seas isolated dinosaurs into smaller and smaller groups. Geographic isolation and climatic variation are major evolutionary driving forces. They are responsible for greater diversity. As the Earth was being reconfigured, plants and animals adapted to their new environments by developing new survival strategies. Herbivorous dinosaurs were no exception. Ankylosaurus grew armor and a clubbed tail. Triceratops grew shields and large horns. And seismosaurs just grew into the largest land animal ever. For even more protection, some plant eaters formed herds. Paleontologist Phil Curry knows how predators responded.
The plant eaters are trying to get bigger and better arms so that they can protect themselves better against the meat eaters. But the meat eaters have to stay ahead in that arms race. They always have to be a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more faster, because if they're not, they won't eat.
And these creatures wanted to eat. So they kept up with their prey. They changed. Became, among other things, very much larger. It was a question of survival. Carnosaurs evolved into huge, fearsome animals. Though they may have lived in various places, been separated in time by millions of years, they were descendants of Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus, and they shared certain unmistakable characteristics. Balancing on three-toed, clawed feet. Slender arms for grasping. And the head, the remarkable head, itself an awesome weapon, encasing sharp teeth, and the engineering of a deadly double-hinged jaw. Finally, all these features, honed to chilling perfection, were incorporated into the greatest land predator of them all, the legendary and charismatic Tyrannosaurus Rex. T-Rex reverberates through time. Mother of all prehistoric predators, its odd incarnations are today evident everywhere. Plastic souvenir T-Rex teeth sell like hotcakes, and welders fashion model replicas to satisfy the public's tremendous fascination with the creature. It's a fascination that has been going strong since the turn of the 20th century. In 1900, Barnum Brown discovered the first T-Rex. His colleague at the American Museum of Natural History, Henry Osborn, named it Tyrannosaurus Rex, Tyrant Lizard King. People already attracted to dinosaur fossils came in droves to view T-Rex. Those coming today are most likely to see not real T-Rex fossils, but instead models cast from the few existing Tyrannosaurus fossils. Until recently, only 9 incomplete specimens were available. All were found in badlands that stretch from Wyoming and Montana into South Dakota and western Canada. When T-Rex lived, an inland sea split North America, trapping the animal in the western part of the continent. Still, based on what had been found, T-Rex gained its reputation for ferocity, a reputation that has been significantly enhanced by the movies. But there are paleontologists who think T-Rex's reputation as a predator is overblown. Jack Horner is one.
When Tyrannosaurus rex was first found, Barnum Brown brought the specimen in. Henry Fairfield Osborn was the first person to work on it, certainly the first one to describe it. And he gave it the name Tyrannosaurus rex, which means tyrant lizard king. Well, and pretty much said it was a predator. But he didn't base that on anything. I mean, he didn't really do the work necessary to determine that it was. He just pretty much said it was. It was a big carnivorous animal, the largest one ever found, and the assumption was it was a predator.
Scientists like Jack Horner don't buy that assumption. They claim T-Rex was a scavenger, using its size to scare off competition for carrion.
People don't want to hear that Tyrannosaurus was a scavenger. They want to know that it was a predator. Because for some reason, that's really special.
But because people seem to have so much invested in T-Rex, the implacable, methodical killer, the notion that the beast may have been less is unpopular. According to paleontologist Phil Curry, the truth is probably somewhere in between.
The reality is that there really are no pure scavengers and there are no pure hunters. A lion will eat food that's already dead if it finds it, or it will take it down if it can't find dead food. Tyrannosaurus rex and the other theropod dinosaurs would have been in the same kind of position.
Phil Curry and others suggest T-Rex not only dined on the duckbill and horned dinosaurs that shared its landscape, it may not have been above attacking other T-Rexes. The controversy about the eating habits of this most famous of predators shows no sign of abating. Many argue this: how could a dinosaur, with a jaw strong enough to withstand the force of muscles capable of crushing any animal's bones, be anything but a first-rate predator? The reply is that the real issue is not T-Rex's jaws, but its arms. They were short, very short for a creature over 15 feet tall, no bigger than a man's. They couldn't reach the animal's mouth. They couldn't even reach one another. How could T-Rex use them to capture prey? Clearly, Allosaurus, an earlier dinosaur, had arms better suited to that task. But perhaps T-Rex's lofty predatory standing is best secured by its senses. Its hearing was keen, a significant aid in tracking. Its vision, unlike that of most dinosaurs, was stereoscopic, which made it easier to see movement. And, beyond all that, its sense of smell was acute. While arguments about whether T-Rex was a predator or scavenger go on, there is no argument that Tyrannosaurus rex was an imposing creature. Tall as 3 men, weighing up to 14,000 pounds, with a powerfully muscled jaw that held 9-inch teeth, it was the brawn of the dinosaur world. The brains of that world was a relatively small creature called Troodon. Eastern Wyoming, about 67 million years ago, Troodon shared this part of the Earth with T-Rex. It weighed around 50 pounds and was a mere 6 feet tall, a runt compared to its enormous cousin. But Troodon had some very special advantages. It was fast. Taking enormous strides, it held its middle claws above the ground. Troodon had a long, highly flexible, whip-like tail, which may have enhanced its balance as it ran or leaped on its victim. The owner of sharp, serrated teeth, large hook-like claws, and unique among dinosaurs, an opposable finger that gave it a firm grasp on its prey. Fleet little Troodon was all predator. What really set it apart, though, was its intelligence. Troodon was, perhaps, the smartest dinosaur ever. Paleontologists know that the brains of most dinosaurs didn't fill their brain cavities. Troodon's was so large, it left impressions inside the skull.
They are so interesting because they are so highly evolved, so uncommon, so difficult to find, and so anatomically interesting. This dinosaur may be small, but its significance is very large. It was the first time that we realized that some dinosaurs had brains that were unusually large for reptiles, and that these creatures, the dinosaurs, were not a static group. They were evolving, and they were evolving towards higher levels of behavioral complexity.
Stegosaurus seems less complex. It weighed 6,000 pounds, but its brain weighed only slightly more than 2 ounces. Troodon, on the other hand, was over 100 times smaller than Stegosaurus. Its brain, however, weighed roughly 1.5 ounces. The fact is that when compared to its body size, Troodon's brain was about 6 times larger than that of most dinosaurs. Not only that, its brain-to-body size ratio outranked primitive mammals, the ancestors of human beings. But what did Troodon do with its brain power? It processed information from its highly developed senses, particularly its vision, which included better depth perception than other dinosaurs had. Troodon's eyes were large, an indication that it was a nocturnal predator. Quick, small, and cunning beyond anything alive at the time, Troodon stalked its swampy environment, eating plants, insects, and especially primitive mammals, whose sole refuge in a hostile world was the night. Darkness might have been their refuge from larger dinosaurs with poor night vision, but not from Troodon. It feasted on them with gusto, and it might have continued to do so for millions of years had something cataclysmic not happened. It was something that Troodon, for all its intelligence, and Tyrannosaurus rex, for all its size and strength, couldn't survive. It was the extinction. For 150 million years, dinosaurs were the Earth's undisputed rulers. 65 million years ago, their rule ended, and no one really knows why. The extinction of the dinosaurs may have been the result of an asteroid 6 miles wide slamming into the planet and creating a worldwide firestorm. Some say that same asteroid was responsible for a tidal wave a half-mile high. Others claim the dust created by the asteroid's impact triggered torrents of acid rain strong enough to annihilate many plant and animal species. Soaring temperatures are blamed. Or a nuclear winter caused by dust clouds and smoke cutting off sunlight, dooming the Earth to a cold darkness in which plants could no longer make oxygen. There is no shortage of theories about what happened to dinosaurs, and no agreement. Whatever happened, it cost them a world and made the ascent of mammals possible. Only this is certain. In the blink of a geologic eye, they were gone. With them went a long history filled with remarkable animals and some of the greatest predators that ever walked the earth. But those predators would be replaced by others. Others that didn't walk the earth at all.